Hi everyone, welcome to the United Students channel. If you haven't already seen me on this channel before, my name is Lois. I studied in Manchester for 3 years. Now I'm a graduate, so I'm old and wise, and I'm here today to talk about something really important that is so topical right now, and I think it's a conversation that needs to be had. So obviously, as you're probably aware, things are a little bit crazy right now. The university experience is very different, and as students, looking after our mental health is so important, especially at this time. Now, from my personal experience, when I was back at uni a few years ago now, I did experience my fair share of loneliness and isolation, and that was without a pandemic. So I can only imagine what you guys are feeling, especially the students that are currently stuck in lockdown in their halls, freshers that have barely got a chance to get to know anyone yet are already now stuck for 2 weeks or however long it needs to be. It's all just a bit insane, and obviously no one could have predicted this. You go to university to have a good time, and as a fresher, unless you got really lucky with your flatmates from day one, this period of the academic year is probably going to be really tough. So in this video I want to give you a few tips that I feel that I could have done with when I was feeling isolated at university. So we're just going to go straight into it. Tip number 1 is to not be afraid to reach out to people. Make sure you are talking to people, whether that's people that you know at university, new friends, or people at home, so your old friends and your family. Make sure you're having regular conversation with people. Obviously it can be topical or just everyday conversation, but also don't be afraid to talk about how you're feeling. There is nothing shameful about feeling alone and disappointed right now, because trust me, there are so many people in the country and around the world that are feeling the same. This time is so confusing and frustrating for us all. So please do not feel that you have to hide the fact that you feel a bit lonely or isolated, because 9 times out of 10 there are going to be people that are in a similar situation as you. And if I learned anything from my time at university, it was that you don't realise how many people are in the same boat until you talk about it, and it was a huge weight off my shoulders when I started speaking to people and realising that they were in the same position. So definitely keep talking to people. Tip number 2 is to just take the time to do things that you love. Obviously you want to be giving yourself time to study and attend your online lectures and things like that, but obviously we're not able to go out and socialise as much as we like, and if you are one of the students that is having to self-isolate right now, this is so important. Make sure you allocate some time to do whatever you feel is fun. So for some people it might be drawing, some people might really like to play music, other people might go out for a run, other people might just play games or watch films and binge watch Netflix, and that's all okay right now. It may not seem like the most productive thing you could be doing, but it is so important to take the time to do things that make you happy. We can't go out and have a good time with a big group of people, and for a lot of people social interaction is such a huge part of the human experience, and we're just not getting that right now. So especially if you're having to self-isolate, it's so important to keep track of your day and make sure that you are actually taking the time to do stuff that you love. Maybe it's cooking, maybe it's meditating, maybe it's doing some yoga. Anything that you define as fun that you can do in your home or your flat or whatever, make sure you take the time to do it. Tip number 3 is to get moving. Obviously, if you can't leave your flat, this is going to be a little bit harder, but anything that you can do to get your endorphins moving, obviously going outside, going for a run, or going to a gym if they're open. I don't even know if they're open anymore. I just shows you how much I go to the gym. I don't even know if they're open. There are thousands and thousands of YouTube tutorials that you could watch, walking you through yoga, walking you through a sort of bedroom fitness routine. You can get your flatmates involved if you want. You could do a fitness session on Zoom with a friend from back home. There are loads of different things you could do. Get creative with it if you need. I know sometimes it feels like a lot of effort, but once you take that leap and actually do it, your body and your mind will be so thankful. And finally, my last tip of this video is to not compare your experience to others. I've always said this when I'm just giving general advice about university, because social media, as great as it can be, is also really damaging when people start to compare themselves and think that they're not having as good a time as their friends are. Obviously with this pandemic, people aren't supposed to be partying or anything like that, so comparing that side of the experience may not be relevant right now. But just remember that most people only post the good things that are happening in their lives on social media. If your friend is isolating in a flat and you can see from her Instagram that the flat seems to be having the best time ever and they're cooking meals and having lots of fun, the reality is that that is not the case all the time. And that is important to remember, not just in a pandemic, but generally at any time during life. Try not to compare yourself to others and do your best to look after yourself. Clearly with this pandemic, students aren't having as much of a regular routine as they would usually, and everything is just crazy and different and no one really knows what is going on. But I think it's just really important to keep an eye on yourself, the habits that you have, how you're spending your time, and keeping an eye on your mental health. There are loads of videos on this channel talking about mental health, so definitely go and check them out. Obviously, if you have any questions or concerns or anything you want to talk about, then feel free to reach out to me. All of my links are in the description, and please stay safe. I know this is a really hard time for everyone, but we're all in this together, and who knows how long it will be before things get back to a little bit of normality. But until then, we just have to hang in there and look out for ourselves and each other.